Hello, welcome to Anita the Pedagogue channel. Today we continue with our poetry analysis. Today we are going to discuss the poem The Bass by Arun Kolatkar. For our lesson content, we would look at the biography of the poets, a discussion of the title, the structure of the poem, its line-by-line analysis, the literary devices, the themes, and I'll share with you some likely examination questions. Arun Kolatkar was born in 1931 in Kolhapur, Maharashtra, India. He grew up in a traditional patriarchal Hindu extended family. He was educated at Rajaram High School in Kolhapur, where lessons were taught in Marathi, and at the Jejuri School of Art in Bombay. He spent several years trying to make a living before turning to work as an art director and graphic designer for several advertising agencies in Bombay, achieving great success in this field. He wrote prolifically in both Marathi and English, publishing in magazines and anthologies from 1955, but did not bring out a book of poems before Jejuri, which was published in 1979. Which won him the Commonwealth Poetry Prize and was later published in the US in the NYRB Classic Series in 2005. His third Marathi publication, Biji Vahi, won a Sahitya Akademi Award in 2004. A reclusive figure all his life, he lived without a telephone and was hesitant about publishing his work. It was only after he was diagnosed with cancer that two further volumes of his poetry in English were brought out by friends, Kala Goda Poems and Sarpa Santra in 2004. He died not long afterwards. A further posthumous selection, The Boat Ride and Other Poems, which were published in 2008, edited by Arvind Krishna Mehrotra, contained his previous uncollected English poems as well as translations of his Marathi poems. His collected poems in English, published by Blood Axe Books in 2010, edited by Arvind Krishna Mehrotra, brings together work from all his volumes. Let's move on now and look at the poem The Bass. The tarpaulin flaps are battened down on the windows of the state transport bus, all the way up to Jejuri. A cold wind keeps whipping and slapping a corner of tarpaulin at your elbow. You look down to the roaring road. You search for signs of daybreak in what little light spills out of bars. Your own divided face in the pair of glasses on an old man's nose. It's all the countryside you get to see. You seem to move continually forward towards a destination just beyond the case mark beyond his eyebrows. Outside, the sun has risen quietly. It aims through an eyelet in the tarpaulin and shoots at the old man's glasses. A sort of sunbeam comes to rest gently against the driver's right temple. The bus seems to change direction. At the end of bumpy ride with your own face on the either side when you get off the bus, you don't step inside the old man's head. Now this poem is a 25-line poem with 9 stanzas, and each of the stanza has an even lines, and the very final line for the 9th stanza has just 1 line. And also the stanzas have 3 lines each in them, with the exception of the 9th stanza. Looking at the structure of this poem, it is a free verse poem as it doesn't have any rhyme scheme. The speaker addresses a particular passenger who is seen as a young passenger and also an old man on the bus. There is the mention of Jejuri, which gives information to the reader that the poem is set in Jejuri. Let's move on now and look at some vocabulary in the poem. There has been the mention of tarpaulin, and it is a heavy waterproof piece of fabric that's used as protective cover or shelter. Jejuri is a city and a municipal council in Pune district of Maharashtra, India. And Jejuri is a town known for one of the most revered temples in the state, the Kandobachi Jejuri. The caste mark is a symbol on the forehead denoting membership of a particular Hindu caste or tribe. An eyelet is a small round hole in a leather or cloth for threading a lace, string, or rope. A small hole or slit in a wall for looking through. Let's move on to the title, the bus. Buses are usually public transports that are affordable. Within the poem, it is reference to a state transport which carries passengers from Jejuri. The poem explores human experience during a bus ride, inviting readers to envisage the complications, perception, and self-discovery in the context of travel. Let's move on to the line-by-line analysis of the poem. We begin with lines 1 to 3. In these initial lines, the speaker describes the bus. The windows are shut by tarpaulin flaps, and this indicates that the poem was written at ancient time because of the use of this fabric as covers for windows of buses instead of glass. In contemporary times, buses are not covered with tarpaulin flaps but glass windows. And so it tells us that this poem was written a very long time, which indicates it may have been raining or windy for the windows to be shut. Due to the tarpaulin flaps, the bars will be dark because the tarpaulin flaps are usually not transparent. And this indicates a despair atmosphere, one that is indicating a lack of hope. There is an allusion to Jejuri in line 3, indicating the destination of the bus. Jejuri is known for one of the most revered Hindu temples, the Khandoba temple. It is possible that in this bus there will be passengers who are religious pilgrims, tourists, and local people as well. In lines 4 to 6, a cold wind keeps whipping and slapping a corner of tarpaulin at your elbow. Even though the windows are covered, the speaker uses the personification cold winds keep whipping and slapping a corner of tarpaulin at your elbow to indicate the discomfort that the passengers experienced on the journey. From line 7 to 9, the speaker uses the second person narrative to refer to one of the commuters on the bus and also the reader because of the mention of you. The use of the alliteration and zoomorphism or onomatopoeia roaring road gives an idea that the road may be dangerous or the movement of the bus is noisy. All this emphasizes the discomfort of the journey. Poor visibility of the bus is highlighted as the commuter looked forward to daytime. This could also imply the purpose of the journey for the passengers, some of whom may be pilgrims. Maybe they were in search for some solutions, for which reason they journeyed to Jejuri. They looked forward to hope, that is daybreak or light. Others may be visiting for curiosity, to experience the temples and to look around the community or the town Jejuri or its countryside. In lines 10 to 12, the speaker in the poem addresses a young passenger or commuter in the bus. As the young passenger is anxious for daybreak from outside the bus, that is the countryside, he rather sees his own divided face in the pair of glasses on an old man's nose, whom the speaker is sitting opposite to in the bus. So, the double view of this young passenger as he looks at the old man implies his double identity. The divided face implies that the surroundings of the speaker has influenced his identity. giving the young passenger two perspectives or identities. That is how the young passenger perceives himself and what the world perceives about him. Let's look at lines 13 to 15. Here the speaker projects some religious themes as the passenger can see the journey progressing forward, but to an unknown destination. That is, as he is looking at the old man, it is towards a destination just beyond the caste mark, beyond his eyebrows. He observes the old man's caste mark, which shows his religious affiliation, that is, he is a Hindu. This could be different from the young passenger's own beliefs or religious affiliation. And this extends metaphorically to life. In life, when you have a clear goal, there are times you feel like you are moving to an unknown end that is just beyond the case mark, beyond his eyebrows. This possibly implies a difference in belief between the old and modern generation. The benefits or relevance of religion is also highlighted here, as its destination in a believer's life is unknown. Let's move on to line 16 to 18. So, the search for daybreak is soon found as the speaker acknowledges daytime in line 16. The rising sun symbolizes hope and brings tranquility, since the passenger was anxious for daybreak in line 8. The young passenger observes the daytime from the glasses of the old man. Using personification, the speaker describes the sun as rising quietly and peering through a small hole or opening, that is, eyelets in the tarpaulin, and shoots at the old man's glasses. From lines 19 to 21, in the course of the journey, part of the sun rays hits the driver's right temple as he navigates to change direction. The navigation shows a transition from one point to another. Here the theme, the journey of life, is projected as life is no straight path but comes with so many change in plans and path before one finally reaches their destination or potential. From line 22 to 24, the speaker indicates the journey comes to an end. He emphasizes the discomfort of the journey by making reference to it as a bumpy ride. The use of the expression "with your own face on the either side" when you get off the bus indicates a contrast from the beginning of the trip, when the young passenger's views were from a narrow perspective, that is, just the bus. Now their vision is no longer from the bus, but outside the bus, either side. This explores issues of self-identity and self-discovery as a person journeys in life. The various encounters and challenges of the journey leaves the young passenger with a new self-discovery. This also indicates the tranquility that comes with safe arrival from a difficult journey. Life always teaches us lessons at every point. Let's move on to the very last line. The speaker ironically commands the young passenger not to probe or converse with the old man. This is due to his religious affiliation, as he had a caste mark. This further explores towards the difference between the modern generation and the old generation. This can also indicate that the young passenger should not involve himself with the things of the past or old, even after benefiting from the insight he obtained from his glasses on the journey. Let's move on to the literary devices. Imagery. So one example of imagery is the roaring road, which appeals to our sense of hearing. And also, a sword of sunbeam comes to rest gently against the driver's right temple. It also gives us a visual imagery of how the sun rays hit the driver's head or temple. There's also the use of allusion, and that is Jejuri. It is a town, and it has been used specifically to help the reader to know that The poem The Bus is about a journey to the historic town of Jejuri. And an allusion is a reference to a well-known person, character, place, or event that a writer makes to deepen the reader's understanding. There's also the use of metaphor. The journey to Jejuri is compared to the journey of life, with so many challenges and with so many turns that eventually leads to a person having a rediscovery of himself along the way. There's also the use of personification. An example is from lines 4 to 5. A cold wind keeps whipping and slapping a corner of tarpaulin. And also we see an example in outside, the sun has risen quietly. It aims through an eyelet in the tarpaulin and shoots at the old man's glasses. We also see an example in line 19. Sunbeam comes to rest gently against the driver's right temple. There's also the use of alliteration, and we see that in line 6, roaring road, and line 7, signs of daybreak in what little light spills out of bars. In line 19, we also see a sort of sunbeam comes to rest gently. There's also the use of symbolism. Your own divided face in the pair of glasses in line 8 represents the divided identity of the young passenger. Just beyond the case mark beyond his eyebrows in line 13 represent the religious nature or faith of the old generation. In line 8, we see daybreak, and daybreak represents hope. There's also the use of onomatopoeia. An example is whipping, slapping, and roaring, as we see in the expression, a cold wind keeps whipping and slapping a corner of tarpaulin at your elbow, and you look down to the roaring road. Let's move on to the themes. The first theme we will look at is life as a journey, or journey and destination. The poem explores the themes of life as a journey and destination by describing the experience of commuters in a state transport bus to the town of Jejuri, famous for its religious temples. The speaker addresses a commuter in the bus and shows how time passes and progress as people journey. As we see in lines 13 to 15, you seem to move continually forward toward a destination, just beyond the case mark beyond his eyebrows. This visual imagery indicates that even when one has a destination, unforeseen circumstances and a lack of hope leads to a sense of destination that is uncertain. The lack of hope due to poor visibility in the bus evokes a sense of anticipation and a desire for daybreak and light, which represent hope. For the darkness represents challenges, despair, and troubles. Let's move on to the theme identity and self-discovery. The poem reveals the theme of identity, self-reflection, and self-discovery by portraying how the young passenger's self-image is intertwined with his surroundings and the people, that is the old man, he encounters during the bus ride. In lines 10 to 12, your own divided face in the pair of glasses on an old man's nose is all the countryside you get to see. The young passenger's divided face implies a divided identity. That is how the young passenger perceives himself and what the world perceives about him in life. That is all the countryside he gets to see. Again, in lines 22 to 24, at the end of bumpy ride with your face on the either side when you get off the bus, explains the self-discovery of the young passenger who has had an experience which has led him to have a peculiar perspective, your own face on the either side. As the bus halts, he is no longer the same but has been influenced by his experiences, like the challenges of the journey and the people he met on the bus. The final line of the poem also highlights individual uniqueness and identity, as the speaker advises the passenger not to step into the old man's head, This highlights the separation between the young passenger and the old man. The journey of life allows people to go through self-identity and self-discovery. Let's look at the theme Life Challenges and Struggles. The poem explores the themes of challenges and struggles in life, illustrating how the external world is filtered through the passenger's perspective during the bus ride. In lines 4 to 6, through the use of personification, a cold wind keeps whipping and slapping a corner of tarpaulin at your elbow, indicates the challenges the passengers face in the bus. This shows that journey through life comes with difficult moments. In lines 7 and 8, the personification of the road as roaring and the lights playing out of the bus adds depth to the imagery, emphasizing the speaker and the passenger's perception of the surroundings within the bus and outside. This explains the external and internal struggles people go through in life. Another challenge is limited angle to see around and ahead during the journey. This can be observed from lines 8 to 9. You search for the signs of daybreak in what little light spills out of bus. Metaphorically, in life, there is usually a limited viewpoint for people to see and know what happens around them. The journey of life is also not a straight road, as it comes with various turns and transitions. Let's move on to the theme Transition and Change or Time. The poem touches on the themes of transition and change, depicting the bus ride as a transformative experience that modifies the passenger's perceptions and the direction of the journey. In line 21, the bus seems to change direction. This symbolizes a shift in the journey of life. There is a change in the passenger's course before they eventually arrive at their destination. Let's move on to some likely examination questions. Analyze the significance of the tarpaulin flaps buttoned down on the windows of the bus. How does the theme of journey manifest throughout the poem? Explore the role of the old man's glasses in the poem and their symbolic meaning. Discuss the impact of the cold wind and its interaction with the tarpaulin on the bus passengers. What is the significance of the sun rising quietly and aiming through an eyelet in the tarpaulin? How does the imagery of the bus changing direction contribute to the overall theme of transition in the poem? Analyze the metaphor of the individual's divided face in the old man's glasses and its implication on identity. Discuss the contrast between the external journey and the internal reflections of the passengers during the bus ride. How does the poem explore the themes of life struggles through the passengers' experiences? What role does identity play in shaping the passengers' experiences and interpretations of their surroundings? Discuss the significance of the final line, "You don't step inside the old man's head," in relation to the themes of identity and self-reflection portrayed in the poem. Now, this brings us to the end of our lesson today. Don't forget to hit the like button, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Until I come your way again, keep learning and be the best version of yourself.